Everybody in Olorun Shade Market knew one thing about Nifemi. That girl was suffering, but she still carried herself like someone who refused to let poverty bend her spine. Every morning before sunrise, while most girls her age were still sleeping, Nifemi was already outside with her mother, selling hot pap and akara beside the roadside. Smoke from the frying oil clung to her clothes. The smell of firewood followed her everywhere. Her palms were rough from work, but her face, soft, beautiful in a quiet way. That was the problem, because beauty inside poverty attracts dangerous attention, especially from men who think money can buy dignity. One of those men was Chief Mof Adebayo, rich, married, powerful. The type of man people greeted before greeting God in the village. He drove expensive cars through muddy roads, just to remind people he had escaped poverty while everyone else remained trapped in it. And the moment he saw Nifemi, everything changed. At first it started small. Extra money for pap, long stares, joking comments about marriage. But slowly his obsession became something darker. The whole market noticed it. Women whispered whenever his black SUV appeared, "See him again. That poor girl is in trouble." Because everybody knew how stories like this usually ended. Poor girl, rich man, small gifts, secret relationship, then shame. But Nifemi shocked everybody. She refused him again and again and again, even when her mother begged her quietly at night, even when hunger entered the house like an unwanted tenant, even when her younger brother got sent home from school over unpaid fees. She still refused. That was when people stopped calling her stubborn and started calling her foolish. Because in their minds, poverty should make people flexible. But Nifemi held on to her dignity like it was the only expensive thing she owned. And Chief Mofi hated that. Men like him were used to women lowering their eyes when money appeared. But this girl, she looked him straight in the face and said no. That rejection bruised his ego in ways nobody could see. And slowly, his desire turned into obsession. Then obsession turned into revenge. One evening, after she embarrassed him publicly at the market, he smiled. Not angry, not shouting, just smiling quietly. That was what scared people, because powerful men become dangerous when they stop reacting emotionally. The next morning, everything collapsed. Nifemi was accused of stealing gold jewelry from a wealthy customer. People who once greeted her started avoiding her. Customers disappeared. Whispers spread like wildfire. She was pretending to be innocent. I knew poor people cannot be trusted. Maybe Chief Morph was trying to help her. Within 48 hours, the same village that once pitied her turned against her completely. And the worst part, nobody knew the real setup had only just begun. Loud market noise, women shouting prices, frying oil crackling. The slap echoed across the market so loudly that even the women selling fish turned around. Nifemi stumbled backward. Her tray of akara crashed into the sand. Hot oil splashed across her arm. But the pain in her skin was nothing compared to the humiliation burning through her chest. "You thief." The woman's voice shook with rage. "After everything I did for you." Within seconds, people gathered, fast, too fast, like they had been waiting for drama. Nifemi's breathing became uneven. "I didn't steal anything," she whispered. But nobody listened. The woman lifted a gold necklace high into the air. This was inside her bag. Gasps exploded through the crowd. Nifemi froze. Her brain stopped working for a second, because she had never seen that necklace before in her life. Then she saw him, Chief Morph, standing near his black SUV, watching quietly and smiling. Not big, just enough. That tiny smile sent cold fear crawling down her spine. Because suddenly, everything made sense. Market noise fades slowly. The insults started flying from every direction. I knew this girl was pretending. See her innocent face. Poverty has exposed her. Nifemi looked around desperately. Faces he knew. Faces that used to buy food from her every morning, now staring at her like she was dirt. Her throat tightened painfully. I swear I didn't take it. But her voice sounded weak now, small, hopeless. Then suddenly Chief Morph stepped forward. Enough. His deep voice silenced the crowd instantly. And that was when fear truly entered Ntimi's body, because she knew powerful men never help for free. Chief Morph bent down slowly, picked up the scattered akara from the ground. Dust clung to the oily pieces. Then he looked at Nifemi. "You're too beautiful for this kind of disgrace." The market became silent again. Women exchanged looks. Men smirked knowingly. Nifemi's stomach twisted, because now she understood. This wasn't about theft anymore. This was punishment, public punishment, for rejecting him. He reached into his pocket calmly, pulled out a thick bundle of cash. "Let me settle the matter." The woman accusing Nifemi immediately relaxed. Just like that, anger vanished. People began nodding, smiling, murmuring approval. And Nifemi stood there realizing something terrifying. Truth meant nothing. Money was louder. Chief Morph stepped closer, too close. "You're suffering too much," he said softly. "I can change your life." Nifemi's body stiffened. The smell of his expensive cologne mixed with dust and frying oil in the hot afternoon air. It made her feel sick. "I don't need your help." The crowd reacted instantly. Sharp murmurs. Shock. Because poor people were not supposed to reject opportunities like this, especially not publicly. Chief Morph smiled again, but this time his eyes changed. Cold, dangerous. "You should think carefully," he whispered. Then he walked away. And that was the exact moment Nifemi's real nightmare began. Heavy rain pouring. That night, rain hammered the zinc roof so hard, it sounded like stones falling from the sky. Nifemi sat on the floor silently. Her mother paced back and forth angrily. "You should have apologized." Nifemi looked up slowly. "For what?" "For surviving." Her mother's voice cracked. "You think pride can feed this family?" Thunder. The room fell silent again. Water leaked through one corner of the roof steadily. Nifemi's younger brother coughed weakly under a thin wrapper. The sound shattered her heart, because hunger already lived in this house. Now shame had joined it. Then suddenly, loud knock on door. Everybody froze. Another knock, harder. Nifemi stood slowly, fear tightening around her chest. When she opened the door, 2 policemen stood outside, and behind them, Chief Mof's SUV headlights glowed through the rain. One officer stepped forward, Nifemi Adikunle. Her throat dried instantly. "Yes, you need to come with us." Her mother screamed immediately. "For what?" The officer looked uncomfortable. Then he spoke quietly. More jewelry was found. Nifemi's knees almost gave out, because now she understood something horrifying. This man wasn't trying to sleep with her anymore. He was trying to destroy her completely. And the worst part, nobody was coming to save her. The smell inside the station was thick. Sweat, dust, old paper, hopelessness. And Nifemi sat alone on a wooden bench, gripping her wrapper tightly. Every few seconds, officers looked at her and shook their heads, like her guilt was already decided. Then the cell door opened, and Chief Mof walked in, alone, calm. Expensive wristwatch shining under the weak fluorescent light. He sat beside her carefully, too comfortably. "You're making life difficult for yourself." Nifemi turned away instantly. "I hate you." His chuckle was low. "No," he said softly, "you hate poverty." He leaned closer. "I can end all this tonight." Nifemi's stomach twisted violently. "You just need to stop fighting me." Tears burned behind her eyes. Not from weakness, from rage. Because now she saw the full trap clearly. The accusations, the humiliation, the arrest. Everything had been planned. Then suddenly, and for the first time, his expression changed. Confusion, then concern, then fear, real fear. Nifemi noticed instantly what happened. He stood up too quickly, breathing uneven now. Then he rushed outside without answering, and seconds later, loud screaming outside. A woman's voice, crying hysterically. Chief Mof's wife. Chief Mof's daughter lay motionless on the hospital bed. Teeny oxygen tubes pressed against her nose. Machines beeped steadily. Doctors moved quickly around her. And standing in the corner, Chief Mof looked broken for the first time in his life. Because money could not control this moment, his wife turned toward him suddenly, eyes swollen from crying. "This is your punishment." The words hit him hard. "You destroyed innocent people." Chief Mof lowered his head slowly. For the first time, shame entered him. Real shame. 3 days later, the truth exploded across the village. One of the market women confessed everything. Chief Mof had paid her to frame Nifemi. The police case collapsed immediately. People who insulted her suddenly wanted forgiveness. Customers returned. Neighbors smiled again, but something inside Nifemi had changed permanently. Because betrayal leaves fingerprints on the soul. Then came the shock nobody expected. Chief Mof arrived at her house publicly. No convoy, no pride, no sunglasses, just silence. He stood in front of everybody and knelt down. "I'm sorry." The entire street froze. Powerful men like him did not apologize, especially not to poor girls. But life had humbled him brutally. Nifemi looked at him quietly, long silence. Then finally, she spoke. "I prayed for God to fight for me." Pause. And he did. Chief Morph lowered his head, completely defeated. Not by police, not by money, not by power, but by the one thing he never expected: a poor girl who refused to sell her dignity. And in that village, people never looked at Nifemi the same way again. Because sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one with nothing left to lose.